What's up, guys? It's Song Rocks giving you another video. This one's of Miner's Haven. I know I uploaded a video of a different game the other day, but still, whatever. Let me just actually put that there. Today, I will be showing you guys the top 10 OP or best, depending on how you want to see it, Reborn upgraders in Miner's Haven. I already made a list of them. Let me just refer to it. It's right here. And coming in on number 1, and this shouldn't be so harshly coming, it's the Morning Star, of course, because this thing upgrades by 60%, nearly infinitely, until like way past NVG and stuff. So it's really good. It does set ores on fire, and the fire will destroy ores in I think 3 or 2 seconds, which is shorter than most fires do if it doesn't get put out by like spore or something. You also have to like launch it in here with an ore cannon or with the good old large ramp and ore transistor, or a bunch of nuclear conveyors and a small ramp. Those are the only three ways that you could, unless you use like an explosion to launch it in, that you could upgrade using this. It is a bit difficult to use, but for the most part, it's good. And now, weighing in as number 2 is, oh, of course, how could it be so blind? Is Tesla Resetter. Now this one's a bit different, it just allows you to use everything again. That has a limit on the amount of uses it can have. It also puts out all status effects that an ore has, including the smoke from chemical refiner, sparkles, and fire, which are the only 3 effects at all, including the blue flames that the Symmetria mine gives off. Those will be put out as well. So if you're using something that needs to have those effects, this isn't too great, but otherwise it's amazing, and it's gonna be even more overpowered after the update that may come, that will add the ultimate sacrifice. You guys can read about that on Bertha's Twitter. There's a link to it in one of his tweets that'll take you there, and you can see more about it. Now, number 3 will be the Gate of Eclipse. Now, this one's a bit strange, like the Gate of Eclipse, really, but it's basically like a Schwarzinger, but it doesn't. The max it can do is times like 11.5. It could also set ores to negative numbers, but still, it's a small chunks. It also blows up ores occasionally. It does take up a lot of space, as you can clearly see, but one thing that's great about it is that you could, for the most part, place upgraders within it, so that's pretty great. It's also what I use to Reborn. It's a big part in what I use to Reborn. Not to mention that it can add a QD, and any ore with a base value, no matter what it is not worth a QD. That is just a huge multiplier right there. It's like, what would it be if an atomium ore was going through? It would be like times over 100 million, basically. But yeah, but it's only good, like it's only that OP at like the beginning of setups. Otherwise, it becomes like less useful as you go down, but it still does times 11.5, and it lets more ores through generally than a flame scourginger, which is great. And also it allows you to place things in it for the most part. Now, number 3, and this is something you should all see coming. Wait, not number 3. Gate of Eclipse was number 3. Number 4 is the Dragon Blaster. Now, this item is bigger than its predecessor, the Big Bad Blaster, but it is basically a big bad blaster. It has a small chance to explode, about 14-16ish% chance to explode. Yeah, it also sets ores on fire, so you got 4 seconds to put that out, and it multiplies by 3.7 infinitely. So that's just amazing. It's pretty much essential, and not essential, but it's a big part for the most part. For most high life players on Minor Haven to get the true Overlord device. So there's that as well. It could be a little smaller, but whatever. Now, number, I believe it is Z5, and yes, it is. Will clearly be the Dragon Blaster's older brother, the Big Bad Blaster. It's a little small, which is great. Which is strange because it's called the Big Bad Blaster, but it's small. So weird. Anyways, but this item is what's kept a lot of back in the old days, and before the update that introduced the Dragon Blaster. It's what really kept the high life miners. It's what made them able to reborn. Basically, it's like very overpowered. I guess you could say that. This time, it's basically like a little bit of a dumbed down Dragon Blaster, or rather, Dragon Blaster is a bit of a amped up Big Bad Blaster. Has a Big Bad Blaster, does ×3, has a larger chance to explode, like a 40-ish% chance to explode, and actually might be like a 50-50. It's something like that. Don't know the exact ones for this, and so yeah, it's still pretty good though. Same thing as the Dragon Blaster with the 4 seconds to put out the fire. So yeah, but this one's also smaller, so you could put a bunch of them in the setup, and it'll make sense to do that. Now, coming as number 6 will be the other item that all those back in the day that all High Life players liked so much, Flaming Scourginger. Now, this thing has about a 76% chance to explode chance to let an ore go through. It can set ore value to 100 billion. It can, what's the word? Oh yeah, it sets ore value to 100 billion. You can also set it to negative, I believe it is 1,000, similar to the Gated Eclipse. But also, it doesn't set ores on fire, by the way. But it also does like some multipliers. I think the cap multiplier for this is about 6 point something. So that's pretty good. But this thing has a rare chance to do ×200, which is just monumental. ×200 is great. It's basically, it's even better than the Overlord or true Overlord device. But you get this earlier on, and it blows up ore sometimes. So it depends how you see it. Now, for number 7 on our list will be Lightning Bolt Refiner, and this used to be like the most OP item back in the day because before it kind of got nerfed. It does anywhere from ×100% to ×700%, or you could say from ×2 to ×8. After you use 2 of these, I don't want to say small, I don't know the exact percentage, but after you use 2 of these, some ores will get destroyed, and you hear a zapping sound from the Lightning Bolt Refiner. Back in the day, this thing, you could also use this infinitely, so it's amazing. But back in the day, this thing you could use it as many times as you want without risking your ores going away, so that's how people got DD back then. Of course, I was really low life back then, where I didn't play sometimes, because I only joined like in December, so yeah. So yeah, it's pretty overpowered. But also it has like a little thing where it's hard to take ores with conveyor. It's a little hard to explain. But then coming in as number 8 will of course be the Big Bertha, the thing that everybody likes to put the ores into there. Newtonium, Atonium, put the ores right there. It does ×12, but you need to launch it there, or you could use a little ore transistor thingy, or of course you could just allow ores to go in directly if you wait a second, if you wanted to, let me actually just test something with the big Bertha for a second, just to see just where its limits. Ooh, also, diamond crate, don't mind if I do. Buy a couple of these puppies. Where are you? Buy this. That. This may or may not work. Let's see. Let us see. I think I'm gonna use a couple more. Nah, I'm not gonna use any more nuclears. Then let's just put this iron mine here. Just see if you could use the same thing you use on the Morningstar on the. Oh, wait a second. Did it? Ooh. Maybe I do need more nuclear conveyors. Let me just keep on going here. Like 2 more nuclears. Where? Let's use atomium ores. Why not? Let's do this thing. Yeah, you can't do this thing you can do on Morningstar with this, unfortunately, but you know, still, it's good. There's many ways to get the ores in. It's a little harder, but if you use a transistor thing, it's pretty darn good. Now back to the list. You know, number 9 on our list will be the Wild Spore. Now the Wild Spore is an interesting item here. It puts out all side effects similar to the Tesla, but it doesn't allow you to use all items again, unlike the Tesla. It also upgrades ores. Now with atomium, it will only upgrade by upgrade by ×2 with atomium, newtonium, all those mines. However, if you use iron mines, it'll upgrade it nearly infinitely, which is just amazing. That you could just keep on looping and looping with iron ores. I don't know where it stops because I did not have enough wild spores to just keep testing it out. I would have, but you know how it is. So yeah, it's pretty darn overpowered if you use it just right. So there's that. And also it's just useful for people that loop now, which is probably necessary to get the Overlord Device 2.0. So this right here will really help as it puts out the fires and has a roof on it. Now coming in as number 10 on our list, an unlikely contender. Ancient Temple. That's right, Ancient Temple. And there's only one reason for this, and it's only because of this update. Because if you have a lot of ores to do, to go through, before you're about to get TSG, it will multiply by a great amount. You know, just nice, which is helpful for people that want to get E+, which a lot of high life do. So yeah, that's incredible. Any other than that, if you're using QD to like really mid numbers, it's not that good, because it will most likely set ores to 0. Even when you're using it inside the end of a STG setup, it still sometimes would it's still likely to set ore values to 0, but when it doesn't, it's pretty darn good. But the way this works is if it's under QD, the ore, it'll just multiply it by 7. No, it'll divide it by 7 rather. It divides No, it doesn't divide the ore value. But it's okay. Imagine like an ore worth 16 dollars went in. It would divide 16 by 7, and the remainder is what you're going to multiply the ore's value by. So since the ore value was 16, 16 divided by 7 is 2, so it's 2 times 16, which will make it 32. Yeah, so it's like an unlikely thing to get it, but it is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, and it's pretty great. I know that there are other great ones like Astro Predictor and Azure Refiner, but those only really just do ×4, and they have a lot of limitations most of the time. Not really comparable to this. The most the most Ancient Temple can do is ×6, which is pretty darn good above all the other ones. And yeah, that has been my list for the top 10 most OP or great, depending on how you want to see it, or best rather, Reborn upgraders in Miners Haven. I wish I can tell you guys to stay cool, rock on, stay awesome. See you next one, and peace.